Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. And so let's talk about João Cancelo. It says here, according to Fernando Polo, that there is optimism from the coaches in Barcelona and in the squad with João Cancelo. The messages that reach the dressing room for Jorge Mendes point to the fact that the operation is on track. Barcelona want a loan with an affordable purchase option. Now we also do have another report coming from ESPN that has stated Manchester City want a loan deal very similar to what Barcelona wants, but with an obligation to buy of 60 million euros, and this is again for João Cancelo. Now we also have another report coming from Mateo Moreto that has stated, except for a unexpected twist, João Cancelo will play for Barcelona. This was told to me just this morning, so it does seem like right now Barcelona and Man City are okay with João Cancelo being loaned to Barcelona. This is what Barcelona wanted back in January 2023, so like about 7 to 8 months ago. But at that time, Man City were asking for a huge purchase option for around 75 to 80 million euros in the summer of 2023, and at that time Barcelona did not want to do that and pay a potential fee of 75 million euros because they did not know where they were going to be at financially. And so that is why João Cancelo could not go to Barcelona, because that is where he also wanted to go, but he ended up at Bayern Munich. And for some reason throughout those 6 months between January and May, he did not do enough to convince Bayern that Bayern should be spending 75 million euros on Cancelo, and that is why Cancelo is now at Man City. But he wants a move. He wants a move away from Man City and he wants to go to Barcelona. And so the biggest obstacle is how much should Barcelona pay in that mandatory purchase option. And it for sure cannot be 75 million euros, because if Man City thinks that they can do the exact same thing like they did with Bayern Munich, it's not gonna happen. Maybe Man City need to reevaluate João Cancelo and his level and how much purchase power their buyer actually has, and just readjust that number and say, okay, let's just readjust the number to 40 to 45 million euros. Because I even think that at 60 million euros, it's too much. I think that Barcelona need to continue to negotiate and say, let's lower the fee and go down to 50 million euros or 45 million euros at the very least. So again, that is the biggest obstacle, but that is not what I do want to talk about today, because I feel like Barcelona in the end will find a solution for this. Barcelona will find the perfect mandatory purchase option that we're going to have to pay in the summer of 2024. So I'm not too worried about that. I think that Mateo Lemán can get the job done, and he will be, right? Cancelo will be a Barcelona player within these next upcoming days. But I want to talk about why Barcelona want Cancelo so bad. Like, why are we so hell-bent on bringing Cancelo? And it's going to come down to 3 reasons. Point number 1, Cancelo can play as a left back and also as a right back. Now, just to give you guys some context, right? And this is going to be explaining exactly why this is so important. Alejandro Balde was in the top 5 most used players for Barcelona in La Liga. Alejandro Balde played 2,471 minutes. That's a lot of minutes for one season, and for someone who has just started at the club. I think that if you introduce Cancelo, who can play on the left back position, because we always talk about how he's going to be a reinforcement on the right back position, if we can have Cancelo play on the left back and rotate with Alejandro Balde, it's really going to help Alejandro Balde physically, because we cannot just only rely on Balde to be our main reinforcement on the left back position. We need another option and give the player some rest. So not only is Cancelo going to allow Koundé and Araujo becoming the center back pairing for that defensive line, but he would allow Alejandro Balde to see more rest. And I think that it's important to see Balde at top physical shape all the time, every time he is on the pitch, because we never want to see Balde being used all the time and he just seems worn out or he seems burnt out. Because when you have Balde mentally and physically ready every time he steps on the pitch, it's very dangerous for the opposition. Like, for example, I'd rather have Balde play 25 games in La Liga where he is 110%, not even 100%, but 110%, than to have him play 33 games like what we see here, but be at 95%. I'd rather have Balde be more impactful in less games, because in that way he would bring great results and you will also minimize his injury history in total. So I can see a backline being created by Xavi where it does consist of Koundé as the right back, Araujo and Christensen as a center back pairing, with Cancelo on the left back position. And again, this could be another alternative to the main defensive line that we're most likely going to put out, which is going to be Cancelo, Koundé and Araujo, and then Balde on the left back position. Now you may say, but Kevin, we're gonna have Marcos Alonso. We don't need Cancelo on the left back position. Well, here's the thing, right? There's a reason why he was not registered on time in the game against Getafe. They just don't seem like they count on him, and they don't even see him as that much of a important player. So Cancelo's entrance is going to definitely help Alejandro Balde, due to the fact that Cancelo is just so versatile. I mean, like, look at how Balde ended last season. Back in May, he received an injury and he had to be out for about 2 months, and so luckily Balde got that injury in the last few days of that season, because if he were to be out for 2 months, like let's say back in February, Barcelona would be in a very difficult position. And so that was a warning call, and I hope that Xavi does see that. And I think that Xavi does see that. I think that's the reason why he wants Cancelo out of all other right backs, is because he's so versatile and he can be placed on the left back position. And yes, Cancelo is also very effective when he's placed on that side. Like look at this pass to Foden. You can see that Foden is making that run and ready to tackle that space behind the defensive line, very similar to what Ansu Fati likes to do. And he makes that perfect through pass through that defensive line, and it reaches Foden. And then we can see another pass coming from Cancelo where he makes a through pass to Gabriel Jesus into the box. And you can see that his type of passes just leaves the defense off guard, right? We need that on the left side, and it brings a different weapon. And I don't know if like his right foot makes his passes so unpredictable, because the defensive line just doesn't seem like they were ready for that type of pass. Now let's move on towards the second reason. Cancelo can also act as the fourth midfield. So very similar to how like Arteta likes to use Zinchenko and inverts his left back into the fourth midfielder, we can see that at Barcelona, but with Cancelo inverting himself into the fourth midfielder and becoming the double pivot with Frankie de Jong. It allows Xavi to see a different weapon, and it keeps the opposition guessing from what we could do in the upcoming match. And I like the fact that we can say that Barcelona can become very unpredictable. So like let's say for example we have one game where we have Cancelo invert himself and sit right next to Frankie de Jong. Maybe the next upcoming opposition is going to be thinking that we're going to do the exact same thing, but we don't. We have Xavi becoming the fourth midfielder and inverting himself. And then in the next game we don't even have a fourth midfielder. We just have 3 straight midfielders with a front 3 that has Ansu Fati on the left and Rafinha on the right side. So again, we can be very dynamic. But with this type of system and formation, it's going to allow Barcelona to see 4 midfielders, which is going to be Frankie, Gundogan, Cancelo, and Pedri, and then have true wingers up top. And that is something that we currently cannot see when we have either Xavi or Pedri or Gundogan taking on that false left wing position. So we could see our front 3 consist of Ansu and Abde, or maybe we can see Ansu and Lamine Yamal, or we can see Ferran Torres and Rafinha. You know what I mean? And so again, it makes Barcelona much more dynamic and more flexible. And as you can see here through these pictures that you guys have been seeing, Cancelo has played in a inverted role before, and as a right back, and then placing himself right next to Rodri, and then having Kevin De Bruyne with Gundogan up top. Gundogan is no stranger to this. Also, when it comes to having Cancelo as one of his pairings in the midfield, and this was a formation that Pep Guardiola did utilize back in the 2021-2022 season. And I remember when João Cancelo was there playing in that position, which was very foreign. Pep Guardiola also stated this: no, he has never played there before, but you see the training sessions, the games, how he moves, how he controls it. He handles the relationship with teammates inside and outside. Other players in the back cannot play in midfield. They can play wide, but he has the skills to play there. So Guardiola is backing his performance. It's unfortunate to see that things have fallen through in the last few months between Cancelo and Pep Guardiola. It just seems like he no longer wants to work with him, and he is relying on Kyle Walker, but it is what it is. And I think that this is where Barcelona can strike and bring Cancelo to the club. So I know that there are a lot of questions about people stating that, you know, Cancelo can never play as a inverted fullback. Like, how is that even going to work? I think that it is going to work. I think that he's great in possession. Like, for example, this is Cancelo playing as a inverted fullback last season, and he made that pass to Erling Haaland. You can see that he's sitting right next to Rodri, and this happened very recently. I think it happened in this year because Haaland is in the team. So you can see that he makes that curl pass to Erling Haaland, and Erling Haaland scores the goal. So he can still do it. He's very much recognizable with that position, and I want to bring that to Barcelona. He can do it on the right side and on the left side. And so can you imagine Cancelo making those passes to a player like Lewandowski, someone who is very athletic and can make those type of kicks in the air? And so now lastly, point number 3 is going to be this: numbers don't lie. These are going to be some stats on all of the fullbacks in the Bundesliga where he did play last season and how he compares with those other fullbacks. When it comes to offensive duels, he was ranked number 6. When it came to dribbles in total, João Cancelo ranked at number 1, even higher than Alphonso Davies and Frimpong from Bayer Leverkusen. When it comes to total passes, he makes the most passes per 90 minutes, so he's very comfortable in possession, which is why another reason why Xavi Hernandez wants him, with a total of 62.97 passes per 90. When it comes to progressive runs, João Cancelo made the most with a total of 3.75 per 90, and just under Frimpong with a total of 4.81 per 90, and above Alphonso Davies, which is very surprising. We can even see here that he ranked in the top 10 in terms of actual assists with a total of 4. And then if we look to FBref, this site that I found, this is a comparison on how João Cancelo compares with other fullbacks in the last 365 days. He's better than 99% of the fullbacks in terms of assists, better than 98% of the fullbacks in passes attempted, and then you can see the successful take-ons, the touches, the progressive passes. He's in the high 90s, and that's really, really good. The only thing that makes me nervous is the fact that his blocks and clearances are not that great, but we'll see how he does evolve his game at Barcelona. And so to me, it seems like João Cancelo would be the perfect fit. Looking at these numbers and looking at what he can do, it's very surprising to know that Pep Guardiola no longer wants to work with him, or maybe Cancelo does not want to work with Manchester City, because even if I look at his injury history, because I was thinking that maybe João Cancelo is just constantly getting injured too much and Man City does not want to work with him anymore. Even with the injury history, he rarely does get injured. The last injury, like the real injury he actually got, was back in the 2020-2021 season, back on September 21st, 2020, because he got COVID-19 like about a few months later, but that doesn't count as an actual injury. He got a foot injury like 3 years ago, so he barely does get injured. And I guess we can also say that that is another plus for the players, is that he does take care of himself really good. So overall, this will be a phenomenal signing. He has everything in his disposal to make it as a great Barcelona player, and I can't wait to see Barcelona making it official that we have signed João Cancelo, because from there we can safely say that Barcelona can end up being one of the most complete teams in top European football. Now we just have to use the players correctly and find the right system, and I think that Xavi is the man to do exactly that. So that is going to be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.